class. Welcome to Love is Blind. This is our new unit, and this is the first lesson, Content 1, The Magic of Attraction. So our core information, our content is courtship, and that's what we're learning about. The who we're talking about as culture is Orthodox Islamic culture. The what, the Mahir boxes, like the one you see on the right, that are associated with their courtship. The where, the Middle East, time period 622 Common Era. Why, introduction. This were introductory gifts during arranged marriages. And the process that you'll be using is a mosaic. So some essential questions that we're going to look at today is, what is the purpose of courtship? Why are we attracted to some people and not others? And we're going to talk about physical attraction, social attraction, and emotional attraction. And then getting behind the scenes, how to tell when someone is attracted to you and how to jumpstart attraction. So the purpose of courtship, in the very root of it, it's all about finding a mate. At the biological level for animals, and humans are animals, it is about breeding and continuing the species. As humans, we have other aspects to it as well. And in the animal world, including us, there's always a lot of competition. And that can take the form of physical fights, excessive displays of physical attraction, creating a nice home, special songs, and lots of other things. So some examples of this in nature. On the right here, you see two bull elks fighting. They're in rut, which means that it is the season for mating, and that's when their antlers are fully grown, and they fight to see who is going to be the one that is successful. Over here, you see one of our lizards, a Carolina anole. We have these around here, and right now in the springtime, you can see a lot of them doing their mating dance, where the males will inflate that red part on their neck, and then they'll start bobbing up and down. And on the right, we have the awesome bowerbird and his nest. This is a bird that the male not only builds a nest, but then he decorates it. And they choose a color. And in this case, the color is blue. And you can see that he picked up at the top a lot of discarded trash. There's bottle caps, there's straws. Before pollution and litter, they would use things like feathers and flowers and berries. But now they're attracted to the bright colors of plastic. And also, as you can see on the bottom, he has also picked up a 10-pound note, which has kind of a bluish-green cast to it, or maybe he just knows that money will bribe her. And what happens is the females, bowerbirds, they kind of check out these nests, and the ones that they think are prettiest, they'll move in, and then they will have a mate. So, biological motivation of the sexes, and this is a generalized motivation for animal courtship behavior. The goal of the male animal is to successfully mate with as many females as possible in order to spread their genes as dominant. Okay? And then for the females, their goal is not only to successfully mate, but also to ensure some sort of protection or resources during the time that she is vulnerable, during late pregnancy, and when she has young offspring. This is especially true for mammals. Most animals are not monogamous, meaning they don't just have one lifelong partner, and most mate only for reproduction. They don't do it for fun, except for people, dolphins, and pigs. On the right here, we have two different types of animal dads. At the top, the red fox is like champion animal dad, because when the young foxes are born in the burrow, the mother does not leave them. She stays with them so they can eat and so she can nurse them and his job is to go out and catch all the food and bring it back to her, and then also feed them when they get old enough to start eating meat and things like that. The lion, though, is kind of the opposite. His job is to protect the herd, the pride of lions, and he does it in a kind of a lazy dad way. He stands around, looks big, majestic, and will growl and snarl and act aggressive. But the female lions are the ones that do all the hunting and bring back the games and take care of the young. And the females kind of share the responsibilities for the cubs. But the male will attack and defend the females and the cubs. Physical attraction is based on physical looks and also your cultural and personal perception of what is beautiful and attractive to you, your personal aesthetics. So without those things, the unconscious preference in humans, it tends to be that we are attracted to people with facial symmetry, meaning everything is equal, and the ratio of body proportions. And the perfect proportions are based on the golden ratio, which is a math thing that's magic. It's 1.618, and it's oddly enough found in nature, and everything else is a Fibonacci sequence. And you can see human body broken down into the golden ratio. And that means that everything is proportionate to everything else on the body. So it's not the same thing as size. You know, little person, big person, skinny person, not skinny person, whatever. It's like, does everything look like it goes together? Is everything matching? And the reason why is that we unconsciously, again, associate those things with better health, better genes to pass on to future generations. Social attraction is based more on the cultural ideas of who's a desirable partner. So that can include a lot of things. It includes having common backgrounds and belief systems. It includes physical proximity. I'm sure you have heard in movies or whatever of the trope, the girl next door, the boy next door. And that used to be a very serious thing, because if you are close to somebody over and over again, you end up creating a dynamic with them. And before we had the modern society with our ability to go different places, your dating pool was very small. It was the people in your neighborhood, the people in your school and your direct community. And so you tended to choose somebody who was physically close to you. Your status, and that can be having a common social and economic status, or trying to level up and be attracted to somebody because of an external thing. I'm attracted to the person because they're wealthy, or they're powerful, or they're famous. It can include rebellion. I'm attracted to the bad ones. I don't want to do the nice thing. I want to, live a little dangerously. You could be attracted to certain behaviors that they have, both positive and negative. It could be attraction to risk-taking. It could be attraction to being polite. Attraction to physical characteristics that are seen as desirable by your social group. This is different than just, I'm straight up physically attracted to this person. This is, our social class, our culture thinks that this type of person is attractive, so that's what I'm going to go for. Attracted to their possessions. I'm not really dating you, I'm dating your car. And shared interests. Emotional attraction is the one that everybody hopes to attain, where it's being attracted to somebody for their mind, their personality, their humor, the sense of compatibility, and bonus if there's also physical and social attraction. And with an emotional attraction, they get you, they understand you, It can be the foundation for strong friendships and a relationship that really lasts. Doesn't mean that relationship's going to be perfect and that you're not going to disagree, but you have that foundation of compatibility, of getting along. If it's not mutual, though, it can be difficult. You can have a really strong emotional attraction, but one partner is just, not interested in having a physical relationship or a romantic relationship, and so you land in the friend zone. And over here there is a quote by an African American poet and writer and artist, and he says, "Classic romantic love is an emotional attraction between two individuals in which they share a heightened awareness of mutual adoration." In other words, they're really into each other. Erotic love traditionally has been described as shared sexual attraction. Okay, so erotic love is physical attraction, sex appeal, desirability, and romantic love is the heart, the emotional part. Bonus if you get both together. So let's go behind the scenes and see what happens to your body and how you can tell when somebody's attracted to you. So let's look at our eyes first. When you find somebody attractive, your pupils dilate. They get larger. In the image, this is a photograph of a person. One eye is dilated and one is not. The one that is dilated is done with the medicine. It's the same thing that they use on your eye exam. But this naturally happens when you see somebody that you find attractive. Your body instinctively releases hormones, oxytocin and dopamine, which are the feel-good hormones. And when people have a mutual attraction to each other, their pupils dilate and they tend to match up, being the same size. Also, during ovulation, when females are the most fertile, their pupils tend to dilate even more. They get really, really big when they're attracted to somebody, and that sends out another signal. So, eye contact and gaze. When you find someone attractive, you look at them, and they can feel the power of your gaze. You can experiment with this, and it's not just when you find someone attractive, but if you find someone interesting or anything else. If you look at somebody with their back to you, try it and see how long it takes for them to notice and kind of turn around. We have this kind of extra way of sensing when we're being looked at. It's a very instinctive thing. When it's an attraction thing, the person tends to turn around and return the look, and you drop your eyes. And then this is a pattern that gets repeated, and eventually you make eye contact with them. And then there is an unconscious physical signal that tells you if they're approachable or not. If they hold your gaze with the eye contact and smile or indicate otherwise that they are being friendly and interpreted as being friendly, then it's okay to approach them. A lot of times, if they're not interested, they will try to divert your gaze, and they will grab your eyes and then they'll look at something else to kind of lead your eyes to that other thing. It's the same thing that you do when you are not using your words, but you want somebody to notice something, and you look at them, and then you look at the thing, and you look back, and you look at the thing, look over here. And then they could also be aggressive. That usually happens quicker, and that's usually right off where they'll say, what do you think you're looking at? Or they'll scowl, wrinkle up their eyebrows and look very unhappy with you. And then you should stop looking at them if they do that. Okay? Scent plays a big part of it, too. We have something up in our head, our brain, called the olfactory epithelium. And it kind of sits between the brain and our sinus cavity. And this kind of captures pheromones that are produced by people around us. Everybody produces those things. Those are natural chemical kind of scents that we give off. They're excreted by our skin. You don't really notice them. You unconsciously notice them, but you don't, sniff and say, oh, I smell extra pheromone today. But they cause attraction and bonding, and they are the reasons why that mothers can pick out their infants by smell. So if you have, and they've done experiments with these things, if you have mothers and newborn children, after they have held them once, they can sniff and pick out their baby by the way they smell. It's also why middle school smells funny. When people are going through puberty, this is when our hormones and sex glands really start kicking in. The pheromones become very strong. And this manifests in a couple different ways, like extra strong body odor, both from armpits and feet. And those usually intensify right before a period of growth. So middle school, it just smells funny. And it's also why people steal shirts. And that is a bonding thing too. If you have a relationship with somebody and they leave behind an article of clothing, or they let you borrow an article of clothing and it smells like them, and you tend to steal it and keep it because it's comforting. It reminds you of them. It creates this kind of emotional bond with them. That's why, people will sleep in their partner's t-shirts or wear their jacket or just keep an article of their clothing around. Okay? But there are also other scents, because we tend to disguise our natural human scent. And we do this by bathing and using deodorant and perfume and cologne and other things like that. And there are some smells that cause physical arousal for both sexes. For men, pumpkin pie was the number one smell that caused physical arousal. And so it's the pumpkin spice thing, but it's that combination of vanilla, cinnamon, and ginger that's contained in that specific scent that really seems to affect men. The other scents: lavender, vanilla, sandalwood, and citrus. For women tended to be attracted to musk, as in the perfume, which I'll explain in a minute, citrus, mint, and leather on males. And the reason why, because the scents either enhance or resemble the natural pheromones that the opposite sex gives off, such as leather, lavender, spices, musk. All of those things have some of the same sort of molecular components that human pheromones contain. Or we read them as a way to signal health and cleanliness. And with that, it's usually acidic scents like citrus and mint. Over here on the right, you see this really curious creature. It is a musk deer, and this is where musk comes from. And yes, they have fangs. That's a for real thing. A lot of deer, particularly in Asia, the small deer have fangs. And the male musk deer has a gland that it leaves its scent around, and that gland is extracted. And if it's, they have farms for it now where they can, take and kind of use an syringe and extract from the gland before they would just kill them. And then that has to be dried and cured because it smells very bad at first. Think about the scents that you use to attract deer if you're a hunter. And then it's purified, and it's used a lot in men's fragrances. Some of them will actually, they write out labeled musk, but a lot of them will have a musk component to it because it very closely resembles a human male pheromone. And now there's body language, and you can kind of do an experiment and watch people and see how they react to each other. When people are attracted to you, they turn towards you. They will uncross their arms or legs. So they will not have their arms crossed across their chest or anything. They will, when you're talking, they'll be touching their skin or their hair or their clothing or their lips or licking their lips. If it's a male, there's a little flaring of the nostrils going on. It's not like he's snorting like a horse, and it's totally unconscious, but they'll just kind of flicker every once in a while. And that has to do with receiving the pheromones. Males also tend to stand square when they're attracted to you. They put their feet about the shoulder width apart, their shoulders are straight, their head is up, in order to appear larger and dominant and, worthy of your attention. Females will tilt their hip, so they'll stand with one hip up and usually a corresponding shoulder, and that is also to send a physical invitation. A head tilting, and that's for two reasons. It's not just a way that we show attention to each other, but it also enhances the release of the pheromones. A lot of our pheromones are behind our ears, are one of the places that they're released. That's why, I don't know if they still do this or not, but people used to put all their perfume and cologne behind your ears. And then there's the male arm brace, where he will stand kind of leaning against a wall or something, and one hand is up on whatever it is that he's leaning on above his head. So basically what he's doing is letting his one armpit out, and that's another area where a lot of pheromones are released. Now these signals are please go away. If the arms get crossed across the chest, that's a defensive or aggressive barrier, and that person is uncomfortable. They could also create a barrier with an object, whether it's a backpack or a purse or anything that you're holding, a coat, a door, putting anything that is a physical object between them and you shows that go away. They turn away from you. They start backing up, and there's a lot of because people do have manners, and there is a lot of the kind of combination of backing up and turning at the same time to try to excuse yourself from an interaction. Shifting from one foot to the other, like you're preparing to run away. Unconsciously shaking your head no, and averting eye contact, not looking at them, not meeting their gaze, looking everywhere but at them. It's important to set boundaries in courtship. So even if you're attracted to somebody, it's important to respect that they may not be attracted to you. And then likewise, if somebody's attracted to you and you're not attracted to them, just be honest about it. Okay? Just say, thank you very much, but I'm not interested. You don't have to give a big explanation or a story or create drama. All right? And then plus figure out your expectations for how somebody behaves, what your deal breakers are, know red flags for inappropriate, dangerous, and abusive behavior, and how to communicate with each other. So these are 5 main energy areas to set boundaries about. Set emotional boundaries, like inappropriate topics or, emotional dumping or dismissing emotions. Like if you try to express how concerned you are about something, and they're just like, oh, that's silly, you're just crazy, or whatever. Material boundaries, that has to deal with your money and your possessions. Can I borrow $20? Can I use your car? Are you going to give me presents? Time and energy, that works in two ways: how much time you spend on the person and energy with them, and also how much they expect from you. Are they always wanting your time? Do they not give you time to do things with other people or be by yourself? Or are they always putting something in front of you? Like, I'm sorry, I can't hang out with you because I have to give my dog a bath again for the 5th time this week. Mental boundaries. So that's the ability to have your own ideas and opinions and be respectful that they may have their own ideas and opinions and you could disagree. And then physical boundaries, where and when and how you show physical affection, how you deal with each other's appearance and sexuality and things of that nature, and how they act towards other people are part of that as well. And it's very good to be honest about your boundaries from the beginning. If you're very clear about it, it helps a relationship because there's not as much testing going on to see what's okay and what's not okay. Okay, approachability. Manners really matter whenever you are trying to court somebody, to start a relationship, whether it's a short one or a long one. Everybody likes to be treated with respect. And when you are expressing interest in a person, this is important. You have to be brave. Talk to them. Ask for their number or whatever it is. Flirt with them. And know your expectations for relationships. What you want, what you don't want. So we're talking about, both the things you desire and your boundaries. When you can tell that a relationship's worth the work to put into it, and when it's time to end it, when relationships kind of can become toxic or you become disinterested in each other. It's a tricky thing. So these assignments are crafts in that they are helping to craft you about ideas about people and relationships and what you want and what you don't want, and then also a chance to creatively express that. So it's 2 parts. Your materials, you have your Chromebook, traditional or digital drawing or writing materials, and your part 1 directions, and I'm not going to share this part with anybody. Seriously think about what you want in a partner. Think about physical aspects, what they look like, habits they might have. Think about social, what they do, how they act, who they hang out with, what their life is like, what they like. Think about emotional, how they treat you, how they respond to you, how they respond to other things. Make a list. Be specific and keep it school appropriate, please. Okay? There's a right way and a wrong way to say you like certain things. Go for at least 5 things in each category and put this in a Google document. All right? Do this first. The next thing, you're going to make that romantic. You're going to write a poem that is based on your wish list requirements for a partner. And your poem, it could be serious, it could be silly, it could be free verse where it doesn't have to rhyme, it could be a rhyme, it could be a rap, it could be a song. You could fit it into a name where you use the first letter of each. You use the letters in their name as the start of the sentence. Whatever format you want to write your poem in is up to you. I know you guys know how to write poems. You've had English class for a long time. They always make you do poems. I also included a WikiHow link for formatting ideas and make sure that you're communicating what you want. You don't have to include everything. Try to include at least 3 of your 5 must-haves, but do include something from all 3 categories: physical, social, and emotional. And then if you have bonus time, illustrate it. Okay? This little exercise is more important than you think it is.